I am beautiful. I am young. I am valuable. I am competent. I am vibrant. I am hand-picked. I am royalty. I am a masterpiece. I am crowned with favor.
Just because a guy smiles a lot, it doesn't make him a nice guy. Case in point, Joel Osteen. Heralded as the world's nicest preacher, I'd like to make the case that Joel Osteen isn't nice at all. I'm not suggesting he cuts in line in front of little children or perhaps has bad table manners. No, I'm saying he's not nice, and I would like to show you why, and then you can disagree, I can't imagine, and express yourself below. Pick any Joel Osteen sermon you want. Seriously, go pick any one, and the formula, it is so predictable and obvious. Step number 1, don't know why, gotta start out with brutal, a joke.
I like to start with something funny, and I heard about this pastor and song leader that weren't getting along, and it started spilling over in the services. One Sunday, the pastor preached on the importance of being a giver. Afterward, the song leader got up and led the song, Jesus Paid It All. The next week, the pastor talked about not gossiping, watching your tongue. The song leader got up and led, I love to tell the story. The pastor was so frustrated, he finally resigned. Told the congregation, Jesus brought me here and Jesus has taken me away. The song leader then led, what a friend we have in Jesus.
Just as an aside, Thomas Brooks identified 7 marks of a false teacher, and he said the very first mark is that false teachers are men pleasers. They preach more to please the ear than to profit the heart. Quote, such smooth teachers are sweet soul poisoners. But I digress. Joel Osteen sermon step number 2, you've got to share a problem or a struggle or a felt need.
Are you paying attention to what you're feeling in your spirit? It's easy to ignore it, push it down, but if you'll start obeying these promptings, the suggestions, the gentle whispers, God will lead you down the best path for your life.
Next step, use a Bible verse. Well, maybe that's kind of optional. But if you're going to use it, he makes sure that it's done out of context to teach how you can fix your problem or have your felt need met.
6 times in the Gospels, Jesus said, he that has ears, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. Well, everyone has ears. He wasn't talking about physically. He's talking about your inner ears. He was saying, are you sensitive to the whisper? Are you paying attention to what you're feeling in your spirit?
Now, as you watch this, ask yourself the question, is Joel giving good advice, or is he actually just laying laws onto people's backs?
When you have big decisions, things you're concerned about, it's important to get quiet and listen to the whisper. Listen to what you're feeling. You can't hear it if you're always busy, noisy, stressed out, getting opinions from others, on the phone all the time. It's not that God isn't speaking, it's that it's too loud around us. You need times of peace, times where you can get quiet and hear the whispers.
Those are all commands. If you want to be better, be more successful, you want to hear God speak and live a better life, then do this, say that, act like this, believe this about, well, yourself. And while it's fair to call Joel Osteen a word faith preacher because he is a prosperity guy, but he's worse than that. He's a work faith preacher. If you do this, then God will give you that. And while it might masquerade as helpful life hacks, Joel is doing nothing but heaping law upon law on his hearers. He's turning Christianity into do instead of done. Worst of all, the laws he pronounces, they typically aren't biblical laws. They're Joel's laws for living a successful successful life. Joel only gives Joel's laws, and he never, ever, ever preaches the law of God and the gospel. Prove me wrong on this. You find one instance of Joel opening up the laws of Moses to silence the mouth, bring somebody guilty before God. Find me one clip of Joel Osteen explaining the wages of sin is death in a lake of fire prepared by God himself, who will say to anyone who hasn't repented and put their trust in his beloved Son, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity." Step number 4, and this might be, if there's a worse, this might be it. Joel gives you a model for how to do what he's commanding you to do. The model, never Jesus. It is always, wait for it now, Joel Osteen.
Every morning I start the day off saying, God, help my spiritual ears to be sensitive to your voice. Help me to hear what you're saying today.
In other words, if you want to be as successful as me, if you want to have what I have, then act like me. You want to hear from God like I hear from God, then do what I do. And that is why Joel, I'm sorry, he isn't nice. He's not helping people. He's a Pharisee who heaps heavy weights on people and holds himself up as the standard and model. He focuses on Joel, not Jesus, and that is the very opposite of nice. And one last note, this particular sermon about hearing from God is another Thomas Brooks mark of a false teacher. False teachers are venters of the visions of their own heads and hearts. They claim that God has spoken to them when he clearly has not. How do I know? Because God would never, ever, ever communicate the utter inanities that Joel utters.
And as I said, I love bacon, but a few years ago, we switched over and started eating turkey bacon. I can't tell the difference now. I love pizza, but I don't eat pepperoni anymore. I made changes, not only for my health's sake, I made changes to honor God. And I believe that if I'll do what I can to take care of myself, God will do what I can.
Oh, he's a preacher. Discuss. Clearly, this is a baby, and yet so many women are persuaded it's nothing but a blob of tissue. What will persuade them otherwise? What you are seeing. 80% of the time, a woman sees an ultrasound of her child. She does not abort it. Would you please consider sponsoring as many ultrasounds as you can for $28 each at preborn.org/wretched.